Today we are discussing the 8th chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktirbhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Iswaram Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadivas Chatideshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Madega Bandho Matsangin Madguro Manmahadhana Mannistaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute. The 8th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is a very important chapter for all devotees, in the sense that it has 52 shlokas, out of which from shloka 18 to shloka 43 are the famous prayers of Queen Kunti. That is coming in this chapter. Kunti Stuti is one of the very famous prayers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and that forms a major part of chapter 8 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The 8th canto starts from where the 8th chapter is starting from where we left off the 7th chapter, where we are seeing how Ashwathama was punished, and more importantly how Ashwathama was let off with the minimum of punishment by Draupadi's great character. So the first 6 slokas of this chapter is Krishna basically pacifying the Pandavas. So the chapter is starting where Suta Goswami is talking to Shaunakadis and saying that Pandavas along with Draupadi, they are going to the bank of Ganga to offer water to the dead relatives and to take a snan, Ganga snan, for purification. At that time, they are accompanied by Kunti, by Dhritarashtra, by Gandhari, all these people. And everybody is overwhelmed with grief because whoever has died on both sides, there is some blood relation or the other, some relation through marriage, some relation through friendship, some relation through the Vamsha. So practically it is a loss. Even though they were arrayed on opposite sides, they were all relatives belonging to the same family and like that. So they were very sorrowful. And at that time Lord Krishna and the sages, they were offering advice to the Pandavas to get them out of their grief. And also Krishna is talking to them how these things happen and basically bringing them to the platform of knowledge. And then Suta Goswami goes on to describe how by Lord Krishna's grace, Maharaj Yudhishthira, he recovered his kingdom from Duryodhana and his associates by this great war called Mahabharata and how he regained his kingdom. And Lord Krishna is instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform 3 Ashwamedha Yajnas, and by doing that, it is said Yudhishthira's fame became as good as Indra's. So that is how powerful Yudhishthira became after this war. And then he is speaking about how Krishna is preparing to depart for Dwaraka. So as Lord Krishna is departing to Dwaraka, Uttara is coming, crying out for help from the Lord. And she is saying that very famous prayer, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Twadabhayam Pashye Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate. Uttara is addressing Krishna as the greatest of all yogis. Pahi Pahi. Uttara is saying that please protect me, protect me. You are the greatest of mystics. Because she says, there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death. Nanyam Tvad Abhayam Pashye. That is, other than you, there is nobody who can award me Abhayam, fearlessness. Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. In this world of duality, there is nobody who can give fearlessness from death. And she says that a fiery arrow is coming towards me, and if it burns me, it is okay. But Uttara is requesting, praying to Krishna that please protect my embryo, because that embryo is carrying the next generation of the Pandavas. And Krishna immediately understands that it is Ashwathama's Brahmastra. And it is said that the Pandavas immediately picked up their respective weapons, because actually this Brahmastra is sent by Ashwathama in order to kill all the Pandavas and the child that is in the embryo of Uttara, because he wants to somehow make sure that the entire Pandava clan is finished. But immediately Krishna takes up the Sudarshan Chakra in order to protect the Pandavas. Although Krishna had renounced weapons and the war was almost over, and still he was not supposed to lift a weapon, but as usual, Krishna is always willing and ready ever to break a promise in order to help his devotee out of his grief, to give fearlessness to his devotee. Krishna will break any promise. And Lord Krishna, who is Paramatma of everyone, Sutta Goswami says that he covered Uttara's embryo by his own energy. And that is how the Lord is protecting even from Brahmastra. Yadyapyastram Brahmashiras Tvamogham Chaparat Kriyam Vaishnavam Teja Asadya Samshayam Yat Bhrigudvaha. So, it is not at all surprising that the Lord is actually able to do this. Why? Because he has got inconceivable energies. And even the Brahmastra released by Ashwathama, it was simply neutralized by the strength of the Supreme Lord Krishna. For Krishna, anything is possible. So the Goswami is saying that it is not at all surprising that Krishna actually did this. Krishna actually rendered the Brahmastra completely powerless, because by Krishna's transcendental energy, he is maintaining, annihilating all material things, even though he is unborn. And then at that time, Kunti Devi, the Pandavas and Draupadi, they are addressing Lord Krishna. And this address or this stuti is led by Mother Kunti, and this Kunti stuti is so important that our Srila Prabhupada has actually written a book on the prayers of Queen Kunti, with each chapter, each shloka, that is, as I said earlier, from the 18th shloka till the 43rd shloka, actually Srila Prabhupada has written a book itself on this subject. So we can just understand or fathom how important a prayer this is for all of us to understand and assimilate, because this is one of the most celebrated prayers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Kunti, who is actually related to Krishna as his aunt, as his father's sister, but just it is very interesting and very fascinating to see how Kunti is addressing Krishna. Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam Antarbahiravastitam. Kunti is addressing Krishna. Namasye Purusham Tvadyam. Kunti Devi is calling Krishna, you are Purusham Tva Adyam. You are the supreme original personality. Ishwaram Prakrite Param. She is saying that you are the controller, Ishwara, who is Param to the Prakriti. That means you are beyond this Prakriti. Alakshyam Sarva Bhutana. You are actually invisible to all the jivas, although you are Antarbahiravastitam. Although you are existing in and out, you are invisible to everyone, all the jivas. So, if Krishna is invisible, then why nobody is approaching Krishna? Is it not? So, Kunti is clearing that also. Maya Yavaniga Channam Ajnadokshajamavyayam Nalakshyase Mudadrisha Nato Natyatharo Yatha. Kunti is saying, you are behind Maya Javaniga Channam. That is Channam, means hidden. Maya Yavanika, the curtain of Maya. By the curtain of Maya, you are invisible. Although you are Adhokshaja, you are beyond sense perception. And you are Avyayam. You will never diminish. You have no end. Nalakshyase Mudadrisha Nato Natyatharo Yatha. You are for the Mudadrisha, for somebody who is foolish. For them, you are like Nato Natyatharo Yatha. You are dressed like a player who we cannot recognize. On a stage, a very expert actor will be dressed in such a way in his character that you will actually not know that it is that person. So, Krishna is like that for the foolish. He will be covered by the curtain of Maya for the Mudadrisha, because he is the supreme actor who is in that particular role. So, you would not be able to identify that this great personality is actually the supreme personality of Godhead. And Kunti is saying, you are such a great personality, you cannot be seen, who cannot be understood. And what am I? Kunti is so humble in her demeanor as she is approaching Krishna. She is saying, Tatha Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidanartham Katham Pasye Mahistriyaha. She is saying, I am just a Stri, a woman. How can I know you perfectly? Because you are descending to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists, Tatha Paramahamsanam and Muninam. Also to the great philosophers or mental speculators who are Amala Atmanam, those people whose minds are competent to discern between spirit and matter. To them you are giving Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham. So you are coming for such a thing. And what am I? I am just a woman. I am just a woman. And then she is saying, although I am a woman and I am related to you, my brother and his wife are the most fortunate people in the entire creation. Why? Because you are Vasudeva. Because you are the son of Vasudeva. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Nama. So Kunti is saying, let me pay my obeisances to you. You have become the son of my brother Vasudeva, and for the pleasure of Vasudeva and Devaki and for the pleasure of Nanda and all the cowherd men, you have taken this particular form, and Kunti is so fortunate that she is able to behold that most beautiful form of the Supreme Lord Krishna. You see, and because she is able to behold and see that Supreme Personality of Godhead, she is able to express herself so explicitly, and in the next verse she expresses that Nama Pangajana Bhaya Nama Pangajamaline Nama Pangajanetraya Namaste Pangajangraye. Kunti is comparing everything about Krishna to Pankaja, to the lotus-like features of the Lord, Pankajana Bhaya, Pankaja Maline, Pankaja Netraya, Pankaja Angri. Your feet, your eyes, you are wearing a garland of lotus flowers, and everything about you is so absolutely beautiful. And then Kunti goes on to explain her own personal experience of how Krishna actually gave them shelter that is more than what he has done for anybody else, including his own mother Devaki. Krishna saved Devaki from Kamsa's prison, right? That is like, let us say, one instance where Krishna is seen as the protector of Devaki. Compare that situation to Pandavas and Kunti Devi. Every time there is a difficulty, Krishna was there and he was helping them. So Kunti is remembering that Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanad Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichratha Mrude Neka Maharathashtrato Draunyastrataschasma Hare Abhirakshitaha. Kunti says, what and what we have gone through and what you have saved us from. Vishan, from Visha. First, they tried to give a poisoned cake to the Pandavas. They made a nice sweet meat, they poisoned it and they gave it. Krishna saved. Mahagni, and then they made a house of lac, made of most combustible material, so that they thought, okay, now let these people be here and let them die. From that fire, Krishna saved them. Purushada Darshanad, from the cannibals in the forest, Hidimba and others, Krishna was the one who saved. Asat Sabhaya, another very horrible incident in the life of the Pandavas, which we very briefly touched upon in chapter 7. Right? Asat Sabha, that is where Pandavas actually went through the most humiliating experiences in their life. And it would have been much more humiliating for them if not for Krishna's intervention. So there also Vanavasa Krichrataha, and when they were in the forest in exile, there are innumerable occasions when Krishna helped them. Mrude Aneka Maharathastrato. And in many battles that the Pandavas took part, Krishna was always there with them, because so many of the great Maharathis, all those Maharathis' astras shot against the Pandavas. It was all repelled because of Krishna's help. And Kunti is remembering all that. And she says, now, Draunyastratas chasma hare abhirakshitaha. And now, finally, even this Drauni, the son of Drona, his most dangerous astra also, hey Krishna, you have saved us from. So, Kunti is actually seeing how in every step of their life, in every step of Pandava's life, in every problem that Pandavas had, Krishna personally intervened and helped. And this is what Kunti is appreciating so much here. And then she goes on to say something that makes this prayer so great, that it is unimaginable for people like us, even for a moment, to think that somebody can say something so profound like what Kunti Devi is saying, because Kunti is actually saying that all these dangers were a blessing. That is why she says, Vipatas santu tasyashvat tatra tatra jagadguro bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhavadarshanam. She is saying that I wish that those calamities would happen again and again, so that we can see you again and again. Vipatas santu tasyashvat. Let it come. Let it keep on coming. Why? Because, hey Jagat Guru, hey Acharya, Guru of the entire universe, Bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhavadarshanam. Kunti is saying, the more calamities I have, the more I can see you, and simply by seeing you, Bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhavadarshanam. By seeing you repeatedly, I will not have to actually see this repeated birth and death again. That is why I said this prayer is something unimaginable for anybody except somebody who is as great a devotee as Kunti Devi can only speak a prayer that is so profound. And what is her reasoning? Her reasoning is very, very sound. Her reasoning is very, very sound. She says, she is not just saying to be called as a great devotee or something. She says that the more trouble I will get, the more times you will come to save me. And the more I see you, I can be sure that I don't have to see this material world of birth and death again. Apunar bhavadarshanam. That is the most important thing for a devotee. A devotee should always prepare, and a devotee should always keep in mind that I don't want to go through this birth and death again. And always my prayers should be aiming at this, All other things, we all pray for so many things, And it is our nature, in our materially conditioned situation, we always approach the Lord for so many things. But Kunti's prayer of Bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhava darshanam, that the more I see you, simply by seeing you, I become purified enough so that I don't have to see this material world again. So, it is very clear from Kunti's prayer here that the only security in this material world is what? There is no security in this material world at all. We think some security is there, but every one of those security or sources of security is nothing but another danger waiting to happen. So Kunti Devi is saying, let me have more and more dangerous situation, and you will come to get me out of the danger, and that way I will never be able to, I will never have to see this material world again. That is why this prayer is the most profound and something that, only somebody who is extremely mature in their devotion for Krishna can actually speak a prayer so profound. And then Kunti Devi continues to say, what is the qualification for somebody to approach the Lord? This is also again very profound, What qualifies you to take shelter of Krishna? What do we think is the qualification to take shelter of Krishna? Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir Yedhamana Madhapuman Naivarhadyabhidatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam. Kunti Devi is saying, my Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. Tvam akinchana gocharam, she says. Akinchana gocharam means one who can be experienced only by akinchana. Akinchana means one who has got materially nothing. So Kunti Devi is saying, you can be easily approached by those who are materially exhausted, because one who is on the path of material progress trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, opulence, education, beauty, they cannot address you with sincere feeling. Now, when we look at this a bit closely, we will understand that actually Kunti Devi and her sons, they have all this, Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhir. They had bodily power, they had beauty, they had wealth, they had great parentage. But Providence put them in a situation where they became akinchana. And in that akinchana mood, Kunti and her sons were always calling out for Krishna. And every time when an akinchana bhakta is calling, Krishna will appear. Krishna will appear because Krishna likes it when his devotee is akinchana. And that is what Kunti will now clarify in the next verse, actually saying that Namo akinchana vittaya nivritta gunavrittaye atmaramasya shantaya kaivalya pataye namaha. Kunti is saying, my obeisances are unto you who are the property of the materially impoverished. So, Kunti is glorifying Krishna here, saying that you actually belong to those who are materially zero. You see, Kunti's point is very, very pertinent for everyone to understand, because she is saying, if you are having good birth, if you are having good wealth, if you are having good health, if you are having good looks, if you are having good education, when we have all these things, her judgment is 100% right in saying that we will not be able to approach Krishna with full sincerity. You see? But when one becomes materially impoverished, when one becomes zero, then one will be left with no choice but to completely, in that condition, simply accept Krishna as my maintainer, my protector, and my Nath, means my master. And Kunti is saying that you are actually the property of such people. You are actually the property of the materially impoverished. Akinchana vittaya, nivritta gunavrittaye. and they are not having gunavritti. They don't have the wealth that is arising from the gunas. So they become zero wealth. So that is another meaning of this akinchana vittaya. That means they are above the three modes of material nature. And so because of Maya and the three gunas, they don't have any wealth related to Maya or the three gunas. And Atma Ramaya Shantaya. Hey Krishna, you are Atma Rama. You are neutral and you don't become angry with the offenses of the devotees. And you are even giving liberation, Kaivalya Pataye. To the monist also you are giving liberation. So, the Lord is someone who actually destroys anybody who will offend his devotees. And Kunti goes on to say that you are time, you will destroy the offenders of the devotees, you are equal yet you are the abode of conflicting qualities. That when Kunti says you are equal, and she goes on to say that you also have conflicting qualities. How is that? Krishna is equal to everyone. As Parampita, the Supreme Lord, Krishna is equal to everyone because everyone is Krishna's creation. Everyone is, he is the Aham Bija Pratapita, Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir, Aham Bija Pratapita. So what does that mean? So he is the seed giving father. That means he is father for everyone. That means he is equal to everyone. Right? But it also says that he is unequal when it comes to his devotees. That means there is some Bhakta Vatsalya that goes beyond this being equal to everyone. So Kunti says you are actually the abode of, yet you are the abode of conflicting qualities. That is, who can tell that Krishna is impartial or Krishna is partial? And if somebody says Krishna is impartial, who has got the authority to say no, Krishna is partial? So the final authority also is resting with Krishna. And Kunti says, she is clarifying that by saying that actually no one can understand the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Krishna actually has no object of favor, no object of envy. Simply, it is only in the imagination of people saying that Krishna is partial. And then Kunti goes on to glorify the inconceivable nature of Krishna's birth and his activities. Janma karma cha vishwatman ajasya karturatmanaha triyam nrishu yadhasu tadatyanda vidampanam. Kunti now goes on to say how everything about Krishna is atyanda vidambanam. Very, very bewildering whatever is happening as far as Krishna is concerned. Janma karma cha vishwatman ajasya. So, it is bewildering that you are Vishwatman, you are the soul of the universe, and you work even though you are inactive, you take birth even though you are unborn, and you descend yourself amongst animals, men, sages and aquatics. This is very, very bewildering. Kunti says that nobody can actually understand why the Supreme Lord would do these kind of things. It is very, very bewildering for an ordinary human being to understand, because the Lord takes all these incarnations like a boar, and it is very difficult for anyone to understand why the Lord would become a boar. Why the Lord would become a tortoise? Right? These are all very, very bewildering for everyone. But Kunti says, because even though it is very, very bewildering, I still relish it. This is the quality of a devotee, that even though it is very, very bewildering, for the devotee it is very, very enjoyable. So this is only something that a devotee can feel and another devotee can understand. And Krishna is, Kunti is explaining that very nicely in the verse that immediately follows, Gopyadade tvai krida gasida matavad yate dashashru kalilanjana sambhramaksham vaktram niniya bhaya bhavanaya stitasya samam vimohayati bhir apiyad bibheti. This is so wonderful. Kunti is saying, Kunti is glorifying that wonderful Leela of Yashoda and Krishna. And Kunti is saying that Gopyadade tvai kridagasi damatavad. When you were bound by the rope, by that gopi, Yashoda. And how are you looking? Yate dashashru kalilanjana sambhramaksham. So, all your anjana were, flowing out of your eyes, sambhramaksham. You were looking so scared. You were absolutely looking scared, perturbed, and you were just, standing like this, so much in fear. And who are you? You are actually vimohayati bhirapi yad bibheti. That fear personified is afraid of you. You are that personality. But when the gopi tied you with a rope, you are standing with tears in your eyes, sambhramaksham. You are looking so bewildered, so scared. Even though fear personified is afraid of you. So, this is yet another bewildering pastime of Krishna. And Kunti says that, this is so bewildering, so bewildering. And then she goes on, she goes on to explain how so many people are giving so many reasons why you appeared. Right? Several opinions are there as to why Krishna appeared. They will give many, many reasons. Apare vasudevasya devakyam yachito bhyagad ajastvam asya kshemaya vadhaya cha suradvisham. Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly you are unborn, yet you took your birth for their welfare and to kill all those who are envious of the demigods. That is one reason. There is another reason that they say that you took, this is another wonderful shloka in the Kunti Sudhi. Kechitahur ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yato priyasyan vavaye malayasyeva chandanam. So Kunti is saying, some say that the unborn has taken birth for the glorification of the great pious king. And others say that you took birth to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees, to be called as Yadava. You appeared in this Yadava family as sandalwood appears in Malaya hills. So this is another wonderful explanation given by Kunti, saying that Lord appeared as Krishna in Yaduvamsha. That is actually to show favor to Yaduvamsha. Not that Yaduvamsha is such a great dynasty, so Krishna appeared. No. Because Krishna appeared, Yaduvamsha becomes glorious. Like Kunti says, Malayasyeva Chandanam. In the Malayachala mountain, the sandalwood tree is growing. And it is being marketed as Malaya Chandana, as if the Malayachala hill has got something to do with Chandana. No. Actually, Chandana has its fragrance. It is not depending on Malayachala for its fragrance, but it will be called Malayasyeva Chandanam. Same like that, Krishna is called Yadava, descendant of King Yadu. And that Yadava name is not adding greatness to Krishna. Krishna is adding greatness to that name Yadava. Right? Why? That is what Kunti is pointing out, that you appeared for that. You appeared like Kechit Adur Aham Ajam Jatam Punya Shlokasya Kirte. Also, you wanted to glorify somebody like Yudhishthira. You wanted to please King Yadu. You wanted to answer the prayers of Vasudeva and Devaki. You wanted to kill Asuras, and you wanted to appear for the welfare of the people. And also, in response to Brahma's prayers to diminish the troubles of overburdened earth. So, these are all given as reasons for Krishna to appear. And then Kunti now speaks about the real reason. She is saying, Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karma bhi sravana smaranarhani karishyanniti kechana. And yet others say that you appeared in order to renovate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from the material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. So now Kunti is hitting the point, the real reason, that is to rejuvenate the process of Sravanam Smaranam Arhana. Sravana Smaranarhani Karishyaniti Kechana. Bhave Asmin Klishyamananam, because these people are all suffering, conditioned souls are suffering. Why? Avidya Kama Karma bhi. Because of Kama Karma, they have got avidya, and because of that they are Klishyamananam. They are all having, great distress. So, and Kunti says that by doing this, you are actually making them qualified. Srinvanti Gayanti Granantya Bhikshana Smarandi Nandandi Tavehitam Janaha Ta Eva Pashyanti Achirena Tavakam Bhava Pravaho Paramam Padambujam. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So, you are appearing to rejuvenate this, and those who actually follow this path of hearing, chanting, repeating Krishna's activities or taking pleasure in others doing so, that means teaching it to others, sharing it with others. She says, Kunti says, those people will definitely be able to see Tava eva pashyanti achirena tavakam bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. So, they will be able to see your padambujam. Why? Because you have shown that this is how it should be done. Right? So, Krishna comes, many people give many reasons, but Kunti says, actually you have come to rejuvenate this whole process of Shravana Smarana Arhana, to rejuvenate the process of hearing about you, remembering you and worshipping you. And then Kunti says, now you have to go to Dwaraka, you are saying. You want to leave us alone here and go. And although you know that, whether you are anywhere, all your work will get done. And then she will say that you are now leaving us, but you know that we have won this war, and also there are many kings who are inimical towards us, and we have no one else to protect us. Again you see, now Yudhishthira has become emperor. Krishna has done everything and made him sit on that huge throne. But still Kunti, out of her humility, and because she is a devotee and somehow she wants Krishna to stay, so she is saying that all kings are enemies with us, so you are leaving us now. And then she says that the fame and the activities of these Pandavas and Yadus without you are like senses without soul, Kunti says. And she says, very nicely, she says, after you leave, our kingdom that is marked with the signs of your feet will no longer glow. All prosperity of this land is by your glance. So, this is another symptom of a completely surrendered devotee. Although now she has got all the opulences, Kunti is one personality who has seen the ultimate in opulence, and she has also seen the most akinchana situation in life. So, she is very, very equipoised. So, she says, whatever is there, any prosperities that is there in this Kuru's land is simply because of your glance. And Kunti is in her mind, she is thinking, if you are here, we are all the Kurus are very happy. But the Yadus will suffer because you are far away from Dwaraka. So, and then Kunti now prays for something. This is, again, as I said, very profound prayers we find in this Kunti Stuti. And here is yet another profound prayer where she says, Atha Vishvesha Vishwatman Vishwamurte Swakeshu me Snehapashamimam Chindi Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu. Atha Vishvesha Vishwatman. Vishvesha, Lord of the universe. Vishwatman, soul of the universe. Vishwamurte, you are personality of the form of the universe. Me Snehapasham Imam Chindi. My Snehapasham, the rope of affection of mine. Imam Chindi, please cut it. And how it is? Dridam, it is very strong. This pasham or this rope of my affection towards who? Very strong. Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu. So she is saying, for the Vrishnis. For the Vrishnis means her own family. For the Pandus, her husband's family. So this is ultimate in renunciation, ultimate in Tyaga. She is completely fixed on the topmost level, Kunti Devi. That is why she is telling Krishna, please, because as a woman, I am attached to my father's family, I am also attached to my husband's family. And she says, now you are here, you know everything. And you are Vishwatman, you are Vishvesha, you are Vishwamurte. So please cut off these strong ropes of affection that I am holding for my family and for my husband's family. What a wonderful prayer. And then she says, Tvaime ananya vishaya matir matupate sakrite ratim udvahata dadha gangevoham udanvati. She says, just like the Ganges flowing, the Ganga is flowing into the ocean without any hindrance, you know. Tvaime ananya vishaya matir madhupate sakrite. So, let my attraction also, ratim, udvahatad, let my rati, let my attraction, you know, keep increasing and just constantly flow. Ananya Vishaya, I don't want to think of anything else. Simply my attraction should be towards you, constantly flowing and freely flowing, just like the Ganga is flowing into the sea. And thus Kunti Devi is summarizing Krishna's glorification. So this is something very, very, very wonderful. Very wonderful that she speaks about knowing Krishna. She speaks about being fortunate, and then she speaks about the qualification to approach Krishna. Then she speaks about the Lord's nature being inconceivable and bewildering. Then she speaks about the various opinions on the birth of the Lord, and then she closes her prayers by seeking and requesting and praying for more association. And she closes her prayer by saying that, let my mind Tvame ananya vishaya, without any other vishaya, without any other subject matter in my mind. Simply let it flow towards you. So this is very profound prayer, something that we can all imbibe. We can all take this prayer to heart and try to develop even an iota of this kind of bhava towards the Lord. And the Supreme Lord Krishna, is just about to get onto the chariot, and he is looking at his aunt, with so much of vatsalya. Although in her role she is senior and he is junior, now she is actually expressing herself as a devotee of Krishna. And the Lord is, after hearing all these things, the only thing Lord does is an enchanting smile at Kunti Devi, who is his aunt as well as his surrendered devotee. And then Maharaj Yudhishthira will step forward and he will try to stop Krishna, because everybody knew that except Yudhishthira Maharaj, nobody can tell Krishna don't go. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj, Krishna is always respecting Yudhishthira Maharaj like an elder brother. So Maharaj Yudhishthira will, he will become aggrieved like a common materialistic man. And he will tell Krishna that my heart is full of ignorance. And this body, which I should be using for the welfare of others, but I have used it to kill many people. Many innocent people are killed and I will go to hell for all these things. And Yudhishthira says the king can kill for right causes and he will not get entangled, but that is not applicable to me. And I have killed, no material welfare act can help to atone for the sin of killing many friends of women, because so many women have become widows because of me. And he says this kind of sin, how can I atone for all these things? And simply atonement alone cannot purify me. So he says that he gives the analogy, he gives the example that it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine stained pot with wine. So this is how Yudhishthira Maharaj is, talking to Krishna, trying to get Krishna to stay back. They are all aggrieving because Krishna is about to leave for Dwaraka. So this is how the 8th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam gets concluded. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, we can take.